Do vinyl liner pools need a hydrostatic relief valve? To answer the question in a word, no. However, a lot of vinyl pools, maybe even most vinyl liner pools, will have a hydrostatic relief valve installed in the main drain. So why is that? Why is there a hydrostatic relief valve installed down there if the pool doesn't need one to begin with? The answer is surprisingly simple. When you buy a main drain, it used to come with a hydrostatic relief valve. Some of them still do. And that was whether it was a concrete pool main drain or a vinyl pool main drain, they all just came with a hydrostatic relief valve. So if it came with the hydrostatic relief valve, it must need it, right? Go ahead and install it. And that's why vinyl liner pools, typically speaking, have a hydrostatic relief valve. Now let me explain to you what an HRV or hydrostatic relief valve is and why your vinyl liner pool likely doesn't need one. So if you had a concrete pool, picture a hole in the ground. So you put the concrete pool in the hole, but what if the pool is empty, no water in it, but there's a lot of rain or a lot of groundwater such that the water table surrounding the pool is very high? Much as you'd expect, and just as you've probably heard, the pool could pop out of the ground, and that permanently breaks the pool when that happens. So what is the line of defense against that happening? Well, first of all, don't drain your pool, especially if you have a high groundwater table. But aside from that, there's a one-way check valve in the main drain of your pool, and that's a hydrostatic relief valve. That's what that is. It's basically just a spring, and it's closed. It's not, no water comes in or out, that's it. But in the event that there is a huge upwards pressure being put on the pool and there's no pressure inside the pool to counteract that pressure, i.e. the pool's been drained, then the pressure will push against the strength of that spring and will open such that the water surrounding the pool will be able to come in through the main drain and equalize inside the pool. And what would happen in that situation if you had an empty pool and a high groundwater table and a hydrostatic relief valve is the valve would open and water would flow into the pool, and it would fill the pool up to the point that the pool was equalized with the water table surrounding the pool, and then the water pressure would no longer be strong enough to cause that relief valve spring to be pushed open, and it would ultimately close, and that would be that. But the pool would still be in the ground where it's supposed to be, and that's what a hydrostatic relief valve does. And you need that in a concrete pool, and you need that in a fiberglass pool, but you don't really need that in a vinyl liner pool, and here's why. The floor in a vinyl liner pool, underneath the vinyl itself, is usually just a very thin layer of concrete. It's not structural concrete like 8 inches thick or 12 inches thick like a concrete pool would be. It's just a very small layer of concrete, very thin layer of concrete, and water, if there is groundwater surrounding the pool, will permeate through that concrete. So what happens is the vinyl liner itself in your pool actually will move around a little bit. Water will come through the concrete and occupy the space underneath the vinyl but above the concrete. Now normally you wouldn't even really notice this. Maybe if you were down holding your breath, standing on the floor of the deep end of your pool, you might notice, oh, it feels a little squishy down here. Oh, what's going on? I can feel waters underneath the liner. That's actually normal operation for some vinyl liner pools based on how they're built. So that water permeates through, and if the groundwater recedes, then that water will just go away on its own. And the weight of the water inside of the pool pushing down will displace that water that's occupying the space in between the vinyl and the concrete itself. That's how that whole system works together, and that's considered to be normal. And the reason why you don't need a hydrostatic relief valve is because there is no upwards pressure pushing on the bottom of the vinyl pool that would make the whole thing lift out of the ground, because this is really not how a vinyl pool is made. It's not just one uniform structure like a fiberglass bowl or a concrete bowl. It's a bunch of pieces that are put together, steel walls and some concrete and some other stuff, and none of it is waterproof right up into the point that you put the vinyl liner in it. And at that point, really, if you had a hydrostatic relief valve, it would only be alleviating some pressure on the liner itself, but you don't really need to alleviate anything because the liner down there on the bottom of your pool moves around to the small extent that it needs to accommodate that water movement. and that's it. It doesn't damage anything, and that's how the system's designed to work. So do you need a hydrostatic relief valve in the bottom of a vinyl liner pool? In the majority of cases, no. I hesitate to ever say, like, oh yeah, you don't need it, because then somebody out there is going to go and they're just going to put a plug into the bottom of their main drain. Turns out they needed it because maybe they didn't have a vinyl liner pool. Maybe they had a concrete pool that somebody hung a vinyl liner in a while ago. Who knows what's going on out there? So don't just go and start making executive decisions about whether your pool does or does not need a hydrostatic relief valve based on a YouTube video that you saw. But the reality is, the vast majority of vinyl liner pools, based on how you build a vinyl liner pool, does not need a hydrostatic relief valve. If you found this information helpful, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And you can check out my website, swimmingpoolsteve.com.